Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Touching You Talk Show. I am Elder Sheila Black, and I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Alisha Darden. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm fine. And how are you?
I am doing great. So it is a delight to have you here on the show. And for those of you who have not voted yet, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have already voted. But we have a wonderful woman of God who is running for a seat. She is going to be the county, she's going to be the judge for, tell me again. All
Tarrant
right.
County, Tarrant
Probate.
County Probate Court number 2.
All right, all right. So first of all, tell me about you. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I was born and bred in Oak Cliff.
Yay,
hmm
me too. Where did you go to school?
Well, I went to elementary at R.L. Thornton. I went late, but I did some private school. But I went to R.L. Thornton, and then I went to Bow Story Middle School. And then I graduated from, I did a little stint at South Oak Cliff, but it ended up graduating at Business Management Center in '87. So, I had hello out there to my alumni.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me a little bit about your background. I know you didn't wake up and decide you wanted to be a judge. So just tell me give me your background. Where did it start?
Well, actually, it started when I was like age 7. My mom and my dad were like, you got to pick what you want to be in life. At 7, I was like, I had some progressive parents. And one day when I was riding along with my mom, I said, "Well, what about being a police officer?" And she's like, "Oh, that's good, but a police officer's life is a little dangerous." And I was just like, yeah, "Okay, well, back then Perry Mason was only thing you saw on TV, black and white." So I was just like, what about an attorney? And she was like, "Yeah, how about let's focus on that." And I thought about it. I've always had, even at an early age, I've always had this ideal about people receiving the justice that they deserve. That I've always had this ideal that the justice system should work for everybody. And back in the '70s, that's all they had on TV was cop shows and mostly cop shows, right? So, and coming from the '70s, coming from this the '70s was coming from the end of the main civil rights era, basically. Coming from that era, I was always interested in the politics and voting and who was representing me and how they were representing me. Even at an early age, I had friends. That's all we talked about is learning how to vote. Our parents took us to the voting polls, so I've always been that type of person where I wanted to see government work for all people, not just one area of people.
So did you work like in the courts prior to now, or uh, as
So
far as employment?
So I've been an attorney for the last over 20 years. Okay. I went to law school right here in Fort Worth. I went to Texas Wesleyan University School of Law. And before I went to law school, I did a few paralegal classes just to see if I would like to go to law school. And I recommend it for anybody just to if you haven't made up your mind, you want to go to law school, try going to taking some paralegal classes to see if you like that area. So with that, I took a few jobs being as a legal secretary just to see how I would like the legal field, and from there, that confirmed that I wanted to go to law school. Went to law school and became an attorney. So yeah, I've been in the courts for the last over 20 years.
So what kind of cases did you try, or did you represent?
Okay, I call myself a general practitioner, and what that means is you put your hands in everything.
Okay.
And so I've done family, civil, probate. I've done criminal. I've done workers' comp. I was actually an administrative law judge for almost 5 years, and overseeing workers' comp entries. And I've done all kinds of stuff. I say I've done it all except for taxes, bankruptcy, and stuff like that.
So what were some of the things that you saw that, you becoming a judge now, you will be able to make a difference? Some of the things that you've seen in the past Whereas if you're elected, how will you be able to impact those things that you have seen?
Well, see, I came up in a when I became an attorney, I came up in an era where it was a lot of benches were, and I have to say it like this, primarily seated by Republicans, and they were not a lot of there were not a lot of female Republicans. There were primarily male dominated Republicans. Not all Republicans are the same. There are some even Republican judges that I looked up to, but there were some that you knew they were, for lack of a better word, racist. You knew they didn't like women, and they basically would give you, when you appear before them, they basically would give you a hard time, and it didn't look good in front of your client. And you're sitting here representing an African American client. They already feel like they're behind the eight ball, and now you have these people that they don't know if they are listening to you, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to be a judge. I wanted to be that person that listens to people. Like I said, I was an administrative law judge for 5 years, and one of the feedbacks I got was, we know you care, we know you're listening, we know that once you get all the evidence in front of you, you're gonna look at everything and decide fairly. And that's why I was like, okay, I've done the administrative level. It's now time for me to take it to another level.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, let's see. I'm move up a little closer so I can see you. All right. So, when we talk about Tarrant County Court
And my
number,
dog wants to be in. She wants her prime time.
okay. So when we talk about Tarrant County Court number 2, is that a location, or tell me how significant is that with it being probate court number 2? What does that mean?
It's just the number. There are 2 probate courts in Tarrant County, so 1 and 2. But it means it's county, but it's still county wide. It does not mean it's relegated down to a specific area. So,
Okay. All
so
right.
anybody that lives in Tarrant County can vote for me.
So how important is this? Heretofore we have not even focused on uh, county court seats for judges. We've not focused on any of our local seats. How important is that for us to know exactly who we are voting for? Because oftentimes we go to the polls and we're like any, meeny, miny, mo,
Exactly.
trying to figure
Exactly.
out, okay, okay, this name sounds good. Oh, I recognize this name. Their last name is Jones or whatever.
Right.
Tell us how important it is for us to pick county court judges that will represent fairly.
And it's funny because when I was younger and voting, before I even went to law school, I was just like, I don't know who this person is, but okay, they're Democrat. Let me just select it. I don't know if I'm selecting the right person, but let me go ahead and select them because they're Democrat, right? And that may be a good system, it may not be a good system, but um, it's important because you want to know who you're putting on the bench, because the people that you're putting on the bench could have an effect on legislation later on in life. Like you have, I ran back in 2020, and the biggest issue was the little girl that was put on life support at a hospital, and the hospital wanted to revoke the rights.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up in one of the courts. That decision ended up in one of the courts. So you want somebody that's gonna care about the issue, listen to the issue. That's not gonna be just trying to rush through the issue or don't want to tackle the issue because it's not a major issue, right? So the best thing the person can do before they even go to the polls is go online, go to like in Tarrant County, you can go and see who's running. You can pick up those names. Go, and nowadays you can Google. I'm all over Google, so you'll see my resume. You can see my background. And that's what you want to do for any of these judges. And if you can talk to anybody, talk to them and see what they're like, because you will find some stuff. I mean, put in reviews of judges. Actually, if you put in a review of judges of my opponent, you will see some stuff that you're like, wait, do I really want her on the bench? So, and that's for anybody. And you're not going to be able to, people that walk with me every day, they know me, and they're like, you'll be good as a judge, right? But for the average voter, they're not going to be able to walk with me every day to know me like that. So you have to go on, research.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, what type of cases will you be judging?
Okay, so in the probate court, it's kind of specific. It has a few major areas. The first one is when a person dies, you need to know what to do with those assets. You go to probate court to settle that. That's if you have a will. If you don't have a will, the second thing that they do is guardianships. So if you have a person that you feel like really can't take care of themselves and you need to apply for a guardianship for like an adult, then you go there. Also, it handles the health mental health commitments. Also, there's an area that people don't really realize that probate handles. They handle the wrongful death cases. So
Mhm.
when a person dies in a car accident, they can not wrongful. I call it wrongful death. This wrong the wrong name. Like a person dies in a car accident, those trials can go to probate court.
Okay. Did you already say you already said real estate where when somebody like if a family member if you've got siblings who are struggling with ownership of property, is that in probate court too? You know how they'll take you to probate court?
It depends on whether it's if you're struggling because say your parent died, they didn't leave a will, and now you need to sell the house, that can go to probate.
I see. I
Hmm.
see. So what other things can you tell us about you and what makes you unique?
Me, um, people, I smile a lot, and so some people take that as, oh, you're not that serious, but I'm very serious about what I do. I just call it I'm warm and fuzzy. I will I want to treat people like growing up in church.
Yeah,
You are taught to treat people how you want to be treated.
absolutely.
And that's what I want to bring to the bench. I want to treat people like they need to be treated, especially in the area of probate. You want somebody there that when you get there, they're not looking sternly at you or looking down their noses at you. You want somebody that says, come, I know you're having a problem and I want to be that solution for your family. I don't want to judge anybody. I just want to hear what's being said so I can make the right decisions, and then no judgment. Is I want to talk to you one on one, you know, like, for lack of a better word.
So what you're saying is that you will be able to be fair, even though you're a Christian. It doesn't matter if the person is a Christian, an atheist, a devil worshiper. If they come in your court, they will get a fair. It will be a fair decision that you're making. It's not one sided. It's not lopsided.
Exactly.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what else can you tell us about uh, District Court number two?
Probate court number two, county.
County, county.
So, and there are differences in the courts. Let me tell you, since you brought that up, you have about 21 district courts, right?
Okay.
Those courts are, let me see, 21. Those courts handle family, criminal, and I understated the numbers, like 30 district courts. They handle criminal, family, um, civil matters. Okay, and that's of course, criminal. That's the felonies, misdemeanors. Um, that's the family is where you get your divorces, and civil is where if you have a contract or personal injury accident, that goes to those courts. Those are the district courts. Then you have county level courts. Some of the county level courts handle criminal courts. So district courts are more like the state courts. County courts are like for the county, Tarrant County or Dallas County or whatever. And so those courts are divided too as well. They handle some civil matters. They handle some criminal matters, and they also handle probate matters.
So tell
And
us
then,
about, since you're schooling us about the courts, just keep going. Tell us about the federal courts and just go all the way up. Tell us about all the courts that are available to the United States.
okay, if you taking me back to law school. uh, so there are other levels below the county court. Let me go there first. You have JP courts. The JP courts, there are like about 8 in Tarrant County. So those are the what we call the equity courts, right? The equity courts, where it's like more about fairness. It's more about like the school cases when when the kids don't go to school and all that kind of stuff. It's about when you get a ticket, uh, um, a traffic ticket, and they do small cases where the I forget the thresholds where they're under a specific threshold, and if you say, "Hey, this person didn't fix my car right, and I want to sue them," then you go to JP court. Those are
So,
those courts.
so do you have to
Um,
have, what kind of formal training do you have to be? From what I understand, that I could actually apply to be in the JP, be
you
a judge
could,
in the
you
JP
could.
court.
It
What
does
kind?
not require you to be an attorney. You don't have to go to law school to be a JP judge.
Wow. So
All you have to do
anybody
is
can,
run.
wow. So anybody could just do it, huh?
Anybody can do it. That's the one judge that anybody can do.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay, y'all
Hmm.
might see my name on the list next time. Okay, keep going.
Okay, and then underneath that, you have your municipal judges, and they basically handle, you know, municipal tickets. When the local police goes out and gives you a traffic ticket that goes to the municipal court. If you have some issues with your property, like for permits and stuff like that, you go to municipal court.
Okay.
Okay, so those are those judges. I don't think I'm missing anybody else lower than that. And then, of course, the federal court. It's that's a wide range. It has a wide range of issues that they tackle, right? It's even though discrimination suits can be brought in on the state level, they're a lot of times brought in the federal level because you have to go through the EEOC to get your claim started, right? So a lot of people just file there in the federal court. It handles cases that it may arise in it may be a big company. The issue may arise here in Texas, but say the big company is in DC, so you sue there. And
Okay.
it's more complicated. There are more complicated issues there. They do criminal cases. It's when their U.S. attorney goes after people, then you may end up in a felony court. Especially a lot of the bigger drug cases end up in the felony court. So it just depends on what's going on.
Okay. And then for it to get to the Supreme Court, tell us about the Supreme Court.
So it has to still go. It goes through levels. I'm sorry. It goes through levels. You start locally at the federal district court here, and then if you don't get the result that you want, you appeal it to the appeals level. And then if you don't get what you want at the appeals level, and those are regional, if you don't get what you want at the appeals level, then you go to the Supreme Court.
And they are the final say. After they say what they have to say,
Hmm.
no, you have no other option or choice
Right,
to get to
right,
the federal level.
right. And
Wow.
in Texas, we have kind of a similar system as well. Once you get through the district court, um, if there are levels of appeals throughout the system, right? So like JP court, right? Say you don't like the result, judge evicted you. You actually can appeal it to the district court. When you appeal it to the district court, you don't like it, and it becomes a money issue at that point. You actually have the opportunity to appeal to the Court of Appeals. Texas has two types of Court of Appeals. They have the Civil Court of Appeals and the Criminal Court of Appeals. So once it goes to those Court of Appeals, then you go to our Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Mhm.
So if you were on the elevator with somebody that did not know you and you only had 60 seconds to tell them about you, what would you say?
I'm warm, lovable, and smart.
Warm, lovable, and so smart. And I believe that. I believe that. So I wanted to see if anybody have any questions. I do see it's a few people watching. And even if you have questions, if you're watching on demand, you can post your questions and we will make sure to get those answered for you. So are you single? Are you married? Do you have children?
I am single with no children. I have one child,
Oh,
my puppy,
your puppy, what's your puppy's name?
Michelle the monster.
So all of the animal lovers in the house saying, yay! Well, that is wonderful. So we talked about you being a Christian. What church do you go to? Do you mind talking about what church you go to?
I do not, and I know my pastor will be proud if I did. I attend the Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. My pastor is Superintendent James E. Lee the second, and it is located in Terrell, Texas.
All right, all right.
Mhm.
That is wonderful. So,
But I
any
have to give a shout out to the where I grew up at. My
okay,
foundation, my base. That's
okay.
the Greatest St. Matthew Church of God in Christ. It was the former pastor was Elder B.R. McGowan. And then I have to give shout out to Reverend Crosby, who took over into the last pastor has taken over. That is Bishop Watson.
All right. So, did you sing in the choir?
I sung in the choir. Wait, growing up, yeah, we did. I did everything. I think we were like the pastor's grandkids. So when when you're a kid, you do everything. So yeah, I sung in the choir, participated in the whatever the youth were doing. I actually took helped my grandmother. She was over the purity class, so I helped her put on all her programs. And I don't know if you don't know what the purity class is. Purity class is where you go get to a certain age, like 12 to 18. You're in that little group,
Yeah,
then that person is in tasked with making you do everything. Uh,
yeah.
so and I,
Yeah, we
huh?
have one of those at our church. We have a purity program. Yeah, yeah. We
Hmm,
call it
hmm.
Girls You. So you
Okay. Well, see, our purity class included girls and boys.
okay, all right,
Hmm,
all right.
hmm.
So did you sing solo? You wanna sing us a song real quick?
I leave all the singing to my mother, who is a champ. My mother came on the radio for the 20 years. She was the first soloist on our radio program. So I
Wonderful.
leave it. She's the pro. She's the professional. I'll leave it to her.
Okay, so tell me, you were talking about you have some other interviews that you will be on real soon or radio stations. Could you kind of tell me about that again?
Oh, it's no interviews. It's just my advertising promos.
Okay, all right. And then which stations can they hear that on?
uh, KGGR 94.5, and then I think it's going to be on W33.
Okay, all right. So, what do you say to that young lady that's passing through and she's like, "Ooh, those two ladies are cool," and they listen to the interview and she's thinking about becoming a judge one day? What would you say to her?
All dreams are possible. Do what you need to do to get there. Prepare yourself and get ready for the blessings.
All right, all right, all right. And then that person that is maybe an attorney right now, and maybe they're struggling. What do you say to that attorney to encourage them to keep them going and to not quit?
Well, being an attorney, having friends as attorneys, we go through it all the time. So get your buddy. That's all I have to say. Get a buddy, and make sure you talk to them regularly because you always have as an attorney, and nobody gets it. They think when you see an attorney that we have it all together, and we don't. And we have to recognize that we don't. And we have to recognize that in order to maintain our mental health, we need buddies to help us so that we can kind of talk with each other to as soundboards. Um, it's hard because we take on everybody else's burdens, and then we have to take those burdens home. And then sometimes we go to sleep with those burdens, trying to figure out how can we help them, how can we work this out, how can we get the best results. And we actually, if you have an attorney that cares, we actually take that stuff home, and it does bother us. And so you have to have some good friends that you can talk to.
You know what? And we never even think about that, how, an attorney is really, really close to like a counselor in a way, that
Hmm.
people bring you their problems.
Hmm.
So you deal with problems all day long.
All day long.
Somehow
Hmm.
you have to depress, or you have to
Deep
get,
breath. Hmm.
yeah, you have to find a way to release
Hmm.
those things. So what is your
You do.
favorite way to release? What is your favorite way to release?
You know, actually, because I'm eclectic. I'm very eclectic. So it morphs. The way I release it morphs. And so I get stuck on different things. Like in the past, it was like going to the spa, right? Going into those heating rooms and the cold rooms and just relaxing. The main one is just talking to friends. Um, but I have different things that I do now. Like now it's traveling. It's just different things that helps me get away. And another thing is music. I love music, so that helps me escape. So it's just different things that I do to make sure that because you have to have a balance. The I say the I saw it said earlier the main ones are, but the main one is God.
Absolutely.
It's prayer, God and prayer. If I didn't have Him, I wouldn't make it through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Well, I'm glad that I asked you that so that people can see that you're real and that you're just like the rest of us. I mean, you don't feel like you're high and mighty. You don't feel like you're any better than anyone else. It is just your goal to just help people, help them get the help, help them get the help that they need in the
Exactly.
way possible, in the fairest way possible. And that if
I,
somebody's being taken advantage of, that you'll be able to identify that, and you'll
right,
be able to make decisions based on that.
right. I call myself a servant. Because church, if, if you grow up in church, they teach you how to be a servant.
Right.
And that's all I've been in my career as a servant.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, I certainly do appreciate you taking this time out, allowing us to get to know you. I am going to definitely post her information in the chat so that you can go in and see for yourself that she is a great lady. She's a great woman of God, and she would be the perfect person for us to elect. All right, for us to vote for. We want her to win. All right. I see we Charlisa, she says she loves this. So, we are so glad
Hey,
that
I think
we
I
are,
know that one.
we are so glad that you took this time out to talk to us. So
Thank you. Can I say one more thing?
you can say two or three more things. We don't have to leave that.
I appreciate it. I want to encourage anybody that lives in Tarrant County. This could be a historic election. And the word is not, I don't know if the word is getting out like it should, but I want everybody to understand that we have a slate of Democratic candidates that are African American women, African American males that are running, especially with the judicial slate. You have we have 7 judicial candidates. I think 3 are county and 4 are district court. They are all qualified to run this race. And if everybody goes out and votes, if everybody goes straight ticketing is no longer where you just click Democrat and be done. You have to go down each and every um, election and vote for everybody. If everybody does that, if all the Democrats go out and if they do that, they could be a part of making history and putting it across 7, like the ladies uh, were publicized in, I think it was 2018 or 2020 in Houston. It could happen here in Tarrant County. So we need everybody to go out there and vote and elect it, 7 Well, it's actually 10 because you got three in JP. You want 10 African American judges.
Wow,
How would that look?
that would be wonderful. That'd
So,
be wonderful. And I want to say to you all, I had an interview last week with attorney Nikki Chrisman Green, and she went down the ballot and she talked about some of the things that we need to consider when we go to the poll. And she talked about the positions that are out there and available to vote for. I asked you to go back and look at that because she actually broke them all down and told us what they represent, and if we voted for them, the things that they would enforce. So go back and listen to that. I want you to share this video because a lot of times we don't think about the levels. We don't think about county versus probate versus district versus all of that you talked. And I'm going to go back and listen to this to make sure I have it right in my head. But please share this because this is information that everyone can use. And for those of you who have not voted yet, here's one person you can vote for. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, this has been Touching You Talk Show, and I will talk to all of you soon. Have a great day, everyone.